Hello and welcome. Today, I am very excited to give to you a full walkthrough overview of Capsuleer Day 22, The Nexus Reckoning. So, at first glance, this whole event seems pretty obfuscated, pretty confusing. They don't really tell us a whole lot of what to do, what to expect, where to go, what's going on, especially if you don't know already a lot about Eve. Some of the terms and words that they use can be pretty freaking confusing, but we're going to go through it all. We're going to go through it kind of step by step. And now that I have played it a little bit, understand it a little bit more, I now kind of understand what the full breadth of the event is looking to do. So I'll go ahead and tell you that immediately in a quick little blurb. That is that people are going to be doing the regular soloable K-space sites in primarily high sec and low sec to get BPCs to build filaments and key tokens, as well as loot regular, we'll call them secondary currency tokens, as well as just some other goodies like your standard agency drugs, NPC turn-ins, skins, Capsuleer Day, all that regular kind of stuff. But then you also have mining sites where you mine minerals and you use these minerals to build the filaments and tokens. And these filaments and tokens bring groups of pilots, about 15 of them, to specific wormhole systems. These wormhole systems have existed in the game for a long number of years now. However, now we have a way to get into them directly, easily. Whereas previously it was a little bit obfuscated. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the future video. But now we have a way to get into them more directly with a group of pilots. And those group of pilots can do two different group sites in those specific wormholes. And doing those sites makes it so that you support whatever NPC organization is trying to take over that wormhole, which was decided what those were because of the previous event. So we have drifter wormholes with Triglavians, Edencom, Amar, Kaldari, and Mimitar. However, it seems like if you do not continue supporting these groups, keeping a foothold in these wormholes, there is an opportunity for them to fall out and for possibly a new group to go in. So if your favorite group, like SOCT, the correct option, wants to get into one of those drifter wormholes, all you need to do is make sure that another group fails and that then you can get your group into that foothold. With that little overview, like, we're trying to make our favorite NPC groups be able to have a hold in these wormholes. We're going to go through like one by one about all the different things that you can do, because there is a lot of things that you can do, and maybe they're not all great, but that's for a different story topic time. We'll talk about that a little bit later, how good this whole event is, because there is some really great stuff and there's some not some great stuff, so stay tuned. But first, we're going to be talking about the combat sites. There's combat sites in high sec and low sec. We are also going to be then talking about relic sites. These relic sites are in high sec and low sec. And then we're going to talk about the mining sites, which are going to be in high sec, low sec, null sec, and Pokfin. And then we're going to talk about the manufacturing. It's a short little talk, but you know, there is manufacturing in this event, so that's neat. And then we're going to finally be talking about the drifter wormhole mechanics a little bit more, and then the Labyrinth site and the Nexus site, which are the big group daddy sites there. And then lastly, we will fill out the rest of the information with things like what you can get with the daily login rewards, the event track rewards, and then some things that they're bringing back like observatories and Horizon Siege points. So without further ado, what we're going to do is show you a little bit of footage of us doing each of these sites while we talk about them. And first and foremost, let's talk about actually how to find the sites. So for the combat sites, what you're going to do is go into EVE Online, and you're going to go over to this opportunities page. And then that is going to bring up something that looks like this. You can go to Capsuleer Day here on the side, and you will see, as long as there are sights within one jump of you, they will show up here. If nothing shows up here, just start warping around. If you're doing these in high sec, they are fairly contested. They're pretty far spread out, so you might not see them. I highly suggest getting far away from jita if you're looking to do these in high sec. But you will see things like Reckoning Sleeper Foundry, which is a combat site, or the small Tyranite deposit, which is just a mining site. You will not see the relic sites. The relic sites we'll talk about later, because we're talking about combat right now. So let's talk about combat. These sites are pretty freaking simple. We'll first talk about the high sec ones, because they're very similar. They have a good chunk of newts and no other E-war. So you just need to be prepared to handle a lot of newt pressure. You can go any size ship you want. They recommend a battle cruiser or like a good cruiser for these sites. As you can see in the footage here, I actually did it with my alpha character in a Vexor Navy issue. So just a pretty standard cruiser, alpha skills. Spoiler alert, we are able to do it pretty fine. The other main thing about these sites is that tracking and application are by far the biggest things that you need to worry about. So the frigates are incredibly small and they're very fast. So start thinking about bringing webs, target painters, tracking computers, small drones, rapid light missile launchers, things like that. Because if you cannot apply to these small guys, you're going to be wasting a lot of time in these sites, and they are not hard to kill. And the high sec sites are very not damaging. We barely use our rep at all in this site for the high sec one as an alpha character. It's really quite easy. But what you're going to be doing, what the actual site is you warp into the first room, you kill 2 waves of rats, and then you warp into another room. You kill a wave of rats there, including the turrets. You must kill the turrets. And then a boss spawns and you kill the boss, and all of the loot is going to be in the boss. So what kind of loot can you get? What a great question. You can get blueprint copies for making filaments into these wormholes, as well as these weird token things, which are relevant for the Nexus site, which we will talk about later. But if you're just like a solo player, a new player, sadly, these aren't super useful for you. You can buy the minerals, make them, and then sell them on the market if you want to do some manufacturing. Or you can mine the minerals if you like, and then you can kind of do a mix and match of all the different sites to kind of make it so that you yourself can make these items, and then you can sell these items on the marketplace, and people who are more interested in that big wormhole group content can buy them, and everyone's happy. You also get these weird tokens, which we'll talk about later when we talk about the drifter wormhole stuff. And you also get some blue loot that you can sell to an NPC. It sells for 100,000 ISK per each one. So you're not really getting a whole lot of ISK there. The sites, the value of the sites is honestly not great, especially in high sec, but it is what it is. It is very easy to do. Alpha players can do it. So if you're looking for a new player challenge, maybe consider doing these high sec combat sites. Also, another thing to say about these is that they have omni damage and resist. So just make a nice flat resist profile and do whatever kind of damage you think is coolest, and you will be hunky-dory there. I'm also going to go ahead and link a Gila fit in the description below. Some really good ships for this is going to be the Gila, the Vedmak. I think the Vexor Navy issue is pretty good for an alpha player, but things with high tracking and can hit frigates effectively is gonna kind of be your biggest thing to think about. As for the low sec site, the low sec site is a lot harder. Consider this. A billion ISK Gila was struggling to do the site, even dipping into hole sometimes. And you should probably bring 2 ships, probably multi-box, 2 good cruisers, heavy assault cruisers, or 2 good battle cruisers, like double Sleipnirs. Again, things or double Lokis. Going to go ahead and plug the Lokis. They get longer range webs, which can be helpful here. They can fit rapid light missile launchers. They are decently expensive, but they're very good. So kind of think along the lines of those ships to be doing the low sec site. Other than that, it's completely the same. And it seems like the payout is maybe approximately 50 million ISK per site. Is that really great, considering especially what you're bringing to the site? I don't particularly think so. We'll see if things get better or if you can start selling these other token and items for more money. I don't know. It doesn't look great, if I'm being honest with you, but if you're looking for something to do in low sec, then go ahead and give these a try. Again, I highly recommend going far away from everyone, especially in low sec, because that's going to be a more dangerous area of space. So give it a go and tell me what you think if you love them. All right, moving on to the Relic sites. Again, this is pretty simple and easy. There's two different versions of the Relic site, a high sec version and a low sec version. The low sec version is confirmed level 3 Relic site. I'm pretty confident the high sec is also a level 3 Relic site. You go into the site, you hack 3 cans. The cans are pretty far away from each other. I highly recommend a micro warp drive to go get to all of them. You can, of course, use a cargo scanner to see if you even want to do all of them. They do disappear off the probe scanner after you hack the first can. So that gives you a little bit of safety, and also it doesn't matter if you quote unquote cherry pick these sites. And then the names of them is going to be Sleeper Reserve in high sec and Drifter Stockpile in low. And the one that I did in low sec, I got pretty friggin' lucky, and I got a Mamba skin worth 50 million ISK that you guys can see here. You know, just streamer luck, video creator luck, but you're not always going to be that lucky. But you're hoping for some luck, and maybe you'll get some. That's what Relic site is all about. You'll also, again, get the blueprint copies and everything else that you get in a combat site. So you can make those blueprint copies. Moving on quickly to a note about manufacturing. So if we go ahead and log into the game, you can see manufacturing. We can try and make one of these Sentinel BPCs. And they are incredibly easy to manufacture. They take Industry 1 skill, which you start the game with. You need 50,000 Electrium, which is the mineral from the mining site. And it takes about 2 hours to make one of these filaments. And then kind of the same thing with the limiters or amplifiers. Takes 50,000. Industry 1 takes 15 minutes. Real cool manufacturing gameplay, CCP. That's all there is for all of my manufacturing friends who really like that kind of gameplay. just real simple. But anyone can do it. Anyone can do all of the manufacturing for this event. So there's that. Great. Also, quick shout out. I want to say that while we're on the topic of CC Please, they kind of said that this event was going to have stuff to do for everyone in all areas of space, regardless of who you are, how you play. You were going to be able to do stuff. I just want to say that wormholers, people who live in wormholes, got absolutely nothing in their wormholes. They have to go away from home in order to play with this event. Boo, CCP, boo. A little bit of also sadness goes out to my nullsec friends. Even though nullsec can kick rocks, they still shouldn't have gotten shafted like this. They don't get any of the relic sites. They don't get any of the combat sites, not even the high sec like varieties of them. Why not just put the easy sites in nullsec for your new bro nullsecers? I don't understand. Seems stupid, but this is what it is. All right, rant aside, let's continue. Let's keep moving on to Drifter wormhole mechanics. Okay, I really should have a whole video about this. Apologies for not doing that in the past, but a quick primer on Drifter wormholes. So a while ago, these were added to the game, and every case-based system that has a Jove observatory in it has a chance to spawn a unidentified wormhole, which shows up on the overview, kind of like a beacon, not on your probe scanner. You can warp to it without scanning it down. It is a dead space grid where you start 80 kilometers away from a hole. There is also sometimes some enemies called Tyrannoses, which if they spawn here, they will really fuck your shit up. So you don't want to be close to them. You want to maybe cloak to get past them, or do some kind of shenanigans, wait till they leave, but then you can enter one of these wormholes, and that will bring you to a specific system. You can pre-tell what system you're going to go into, because the letter of the wormhole signature, it'll be like V295, means that you are going to go to the Vedette hole. Whereas like B is going to be for Barbican. So there's 6 specific wormholes, and in these wormholes, they have like 80 to 100 connections, which are all just the same kind of wormholes, with the caveat of 2 statics. Same thing on the other side, except for you're never going to see any bad enemies warp to the wormholes while inside the wormhole. So you're going to be pretty safe there, but you still do warp 80 kilometers away from the hole when you first land there. Okay, so when you're in these holes, there's a number of beacons that you can warp to, and one of them is going to be a beacon that starts with the name of the hole that isn't Hive. It's going to be different for each one, but it is going to be whatever faction controls. It's going to be like their base. If you go to this base, there is a structure, a large collidable object. You're going to maybe have to look specifically for it. Hopefully I'm showing it on the screen for you right now. And if you access this, there is a trader there who will trade in the weird token items that you have been finding in K-Space for weird items, a variety of items that they think they should sell to you. They're going to be kind of related to whatever faction is in there. So like the Edencom hole is going to sell some Edencom stuff. The Trig hole is going to sell some Trig stuff. But then also they'll just sell some like random things like Republic Fleet medium cap batteries. Strange, I know, but that's what it is. And so you want to collect stuff and sell it or trade it to get other stuff, and that's how you can kind of get some more interesting loot in this event. So even if you're just like doing only K-Space stuff, you will eventually want to maybe use a filament that you made yourself to instantly get into one of these holes and then trade for some goodies. However, when you are in one of these holes, you still highly recommend you, even if you filament there, you need to bring some probes, because the only way to get out of the hole is going to be to probe one of the wormholes and then go into K-Space. You could just do the first one and then do like a Pakvan Highway back. Video down below linked about Pakvan Highway. Okay, so now let's move on to talking about the 2 main group sites, the real bread and butter question mark of this event. All right, so let's now go ahead and talk about the Labyrinth site. The Labyrinth is going to be a site designed for about 10 people. You can definitely do more, but only 10 people are going to get credit for it. And the kind of fleet comp things that you need to worry the most about is having some kind of logi. So like 3 augurers will work totally fine. And then 4 relic hackers, and then some kind of damage. So like we like to be doing kikis because they have small signature radiuses, so they take less damage. They're good at sig tanking, and also they put out a lot of damage, but you could also do something like a Drekavac. We really haven't found the best optimal fleet for this, but I also would recommend things like Draugrs, because they're going to give you command boost, and that's really nice for you. And they also do some good damage there. So probably like an armor fleet with like some Draugrs, some augurs, and maybe some damage. Also, 2 things that you really need to have is going to be target disruptors. Like basically every ship should have a target disruptor, especially small ones that lock fast. And then also you need 4 different ships to have a relic analyzer on them. They don't have to be ships that are bonus for relic analyzing, and just like a standard T2 relic analyzer will get the job done. But there are places that you need to do some relic analyzation. So what do you actually do in this site? What is the Labyrinth? I'm so glad you asked. So what you're going to be doing is taking these gates, and they bring you to a room, and the room has some other amount of gates in it, and it has some problem to solve. So what are the possible rooms that you have to do? One is hack 4 cans, easy peasy. And then you can go to the next one. And also there's going to be rats that you should probably kill. For the hacking can ones, just kill as many rats as you want. But then like don't kill all of them, because if you kill all of them, more will spawn. And then that's a really easy room. You just hack the cans and then you go to the next room. Another room is kill the structure. And then you loot the structure. Also, when you hack the cans, loot the cans. They're not always going to have loot in them, but some of them will have some of the token stuff that you can trade in for items. The another one is kill the structure. You just kill the structure, as well as some NPCs that are flying around trying to kill you. You loot the structure because maybe it has some goodies in it. And then the last room has kill NPCs. You just kill a bunch of NPCs until the NPCs are dead. And that's all you have to do in that room. Also loot the NPC wrecks that have loot in them, because you're also going to get some more tokens there. You go to a room, you kill a room, you choose a new path, you go to a new room, you do a new room, you choose a new path. You're trying to get to the end of the labyrinth. There are dead ends, then there is correct ways to go as well. So 2 other things to note about this is that there is a Minotaur of the Labyrinth, which is going to be a drifter battleship. He is going to have a blue shield. If you're not familiar with this, when you kill his blue shield with a drifter, they are going to do a doomsday attack on one of your ships. You need to also, they will also de-lock everyone. So once you kill the blue shield, everyone will de-lock. You need to lock him up immediately, very quickly, and put your target disruptors on him as soon as possible before he can fire his DD on one of your teammates. If you do this correctly, you will not lose a ship. If you do this incorrectly, you will lose a ship. So the mini boss, the Minotaur of the rooms, will be flying around randomly, and he just might get you. So be aware and be on the lookout for him. But he has some loot in him as well. So when you kill him, you get a little bit of extra loot as well. And then the other thing to look out for in the labyrinth is in one of the rooms, after you clear the room, a little void will appear. And you will be able to trade with this Triglavian trader for, again, you trade in some weird tokens to get weird items. And that's how you get the interesting items in this event, is by going to the labyrinth to go to the weird trader, and also the different building sites for each of the wormholes. And then lastly is when you get to the final boss room, it's pretty much just a combined all 3 room, the horde room. It's going to have you hack 4 cans, destroy a turret, tower, building, kill a bunch of rats. And also once you hack the 4 cans, a drifter will appear and you kill the drifter, and that drifter is going to have some loot, the Nexus key. I believe the drifter has the Nexus key, not this building. But one of the main things that you're doing the labyrinth for is to get that Nexus key. So make sure you put it in good hands and don't forget about it as well. And that is all you need to know about the labyrinth. Good luck out there getting a bunch of these Nexus keys, or just doing it. It doesn't seem to pay very well. Pretty much the only reason to do it is to get these Nexus keys, as well as to help support your group keep a foothold in the drifter wormhole. Have I said that this event kind of sucks for value yet? Because up until now, kind of does. But let's get to the pinnacle of the event. Let's get to the final Nexus site. You've been doing everything up to this point in order to finally get to the Nexus point site, the Drifter Dreadnought. So this site is killing a Drifter Dreadnought. Pretty cool, pretty cool. If you're familiar with the Horizon Siege points, this is basically a update to that site, but now you are killing a Dreadnought. You go into the site, you attack the Drifter. You need to bring down his overshield in the time limit. Don't worry with his overshield, he will not doomsday you immediately after, so no worries there. But you kill his shield, he spawns some enemies, you try and take out as many of these enemies as you can, and then you rinse and repeat. It gets harder and harder and harder over time. You're going to pay out every wave. Some other things to note about this is that you can hack a can to make turrets be on your side. It's ambiguous if you need to keep hacking this can to keep the turrets working for you, or just the UI is kind of weird and sucks. But I would just say keep hacking the can and play it on the safe side. And then also, after every few waves, there is a box that opens up. You can put in a mission limiter or amplifier. Word on the street is that limiters make it so it is maybe easier, maybe the same, but also gives you more influence into that wormhole. And then amplifier makes it more difficult, but also increases your loot table chances. So better chances at some really good modules. And I guess that comes to the point of what can you get from this site? And the answer is officer mods. So they added about 5 new officer mods, the Stratiosis officer mods, including the very first siege module officer module. So everyone's trying to get the first siege module, officer module, and also get some of these other modules and make a bunch of money that way. But boy howdy, is it pretty difficult. I don't know if I already said this, but 15 people is the recommended amount for this site. You can, however, just overfill it with as many people as you want. So if you're just trying to complete it, just to try and get those loot drops, or just trying to get the influence in your area higher, then you don't really need to worry about having only 15 members. But if you are looking to get a better payday and less people to share the officer modules with, then maybe you want to try and keep a smaller group. But the payday, again, is not very good. What you're really going for is those officer modules, and I guess less people to split the profits between if you could do it with less people. But also maybe you just everyone multi-box like 2 or 3 ships, even though it's going to be sort of hard to multi-box. But yeah, I don't know where it's all going to go. We have done all of this information in the first like 2 days, so we're going to see how we break it on from here. But that is pretty much an overview of all of the different sites that you could be doing for this event. Last but not least, let's go ahead and hop back into the game, and we're going to be talking about the daily login and event track details. So it's Capsuleer Day, which means we are going to be getting SOCT ships. Normally these come in the daily login bonuses. However, this time they are coming in the event track, which means not everyone is going to get really easy access to all of these ships, which is going to really, I think, reduce supply. So maybe be on the lookout for these SOCT ships being a little bit more expensive this year than previous years. But you do the event track, you can get some Tyrant Breaker skins, some Skinner items, and these Tyrant Breaker skins actually look really cool. The first one is for a Heron. I love this. I love that new players can immediately get a really cool Heron skin and just fly this for ever, because I think it's super cool. I really love the green lights, and I love the like pattern here, and I just really like the Tyrant Breaker frigate Heron skin. But you can get a bunch of those. You can also get 100 Plex, and that's pretty much it for the reward track. Now let's talk about our daily login rewards. So again, alphas and omegas get 2 separate tracks. You're going to be getting drugs, Tyrant Breaker skins, skill points, Evermarks, and that is pretty much it. And nothing really crazy to see here. There is 30 days of things to get, including actual things to get on day 30. And there is 29 days left of the event. So if you miss even a single day, you are going to actually be missing out on some things. Maybe you really don't care about these Skinner items, because who really cares? You can probably just buy them on the market from someone who cares less than you care if you don't manage to get them yourself. But I still think it is a little bit, we'll call it semi-scummy to really try and force people to log in every day. I think it just causes a little bit too much anxiety for what it's worth. And then some last notes for this video is that they are bringing back the observatories in a bunch of area of spaces. They are now considered combat sites. So if you were looking to do those like soloable, hackable relic things in the cruisers, which were for the Drifter Crisis, if you remember them. If you just watch my Drifter Crisis video, we have a section about the observatories there. They're not very good. Maybe they're a little bit better. I don't know. Give them a try if you're interested. They are in nullsec, which is a plus, and see if you like them. And then also there is the Horizon Siege Point update, which they are now called Reckoning Vigilant Points. Again, there's a whole video on the Horizon Siege Points on the channel. So just go ahead and watch that if you want an overview of that. It is like a mini version of the Nexus point. And honestly, this is probably the best thing to do, maybe. But they are only going to be in Pockfin and Shattered Wormholes. So that's going to make things a little bit more difficult. But if you want to go give those a try, I think it might be worth your while. You got to get a group to do them, though. And if you're getting a group to do something, maybe you just do the Nexus points. So I don't know. Okay. Well, that's been this video. Thank you guys so much for hanging around and watching all of it. My thoughts, as you can probably guess at this point of the video of what I think about this event, is that it all seems kind of pretty meh. Like there's some pretty boring stuff to do in limited areas of space, which gets you not good rewards. And then there is a possibly cool group wormhole special section of the event, which is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be doing some cool stuff there. I'm trying to hunt for some of those officer modules, but like, I don't know how long I'll care about it. Apparently this is phase 1. Phase 2 is maybe in 30 days. There's also FanFest to think about. So we're going to see what kind of announcements we get at FanFest. Maybe something really cool will happen there. I had high hopes for this event. I thought that it was going to be really cool. I thought it was going to have more in-depth manufacturing. I thought we were going to help build, like maybe build components for these stations and help them that way. But I don't know. Go do it. See if you like it. It's worth checking out for a little bit. Thank you so much for watching. Fly interestingly. I think you should watch whatever this video is, and YouTube thinks you should watch whatever this video is. So I will see you guys on the next one.